No urgency from leaders to deal with barbaric torture. GBV Parliamentary Committee wants provincial secretariats set up. And volunteers tracking for charity reach their destination.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. Early last month, members of the Gender-Based Violence Parliamentary Committee called for the establishment of GBV Provincial Secretariat in all provinces. Alatau MP and chairman of the committee, Charles Abel, said this is paramount to reach out to victims and address the growing violence in PNG communities. He cautioned that violence is now a cancer and must be addressed by all stakeholders.
Men, please. Let's break the cycle.
Speaking recently, Abel said violence has stormed across in every PNG community. Some remain unreported while others still seeking justice. He says only a fraction of cases are truly dealt with. Abel said establishing GBV Secretariat is vital.
We are here to humbly continue to remind the government that it is very important as part of this process to activate the Gender-Based Violence Secretariat in the Department of Community Affairs to continue to support the prosecution process with the Police Department and the Office of the Public Prosecutor and other elements of the process like counselling or safe houses or supporting the provincial-based initiatives. Funding is always a critical element. It's very hard to get these things moving if the necessary financial resources are not allocated.
NCD Governor and strong advocate Powers Pakop says leaders must now rise up and push this agenda forward. He says the trend of violence is scary and something must be done.
70 recommendation, but there are some that are, are pertinent or very critical to, getting action onto the others, all the other 70 recommendation. We can't get all the 70 recommendations to be implemented one go, but there are some of those recommendations that if we address them and get action on them, then they have a flow-on effect. So as Chairman has said, number one priority is getting the Secretariat up and running.
While the GBV Parliamentary Committee is pushing to be a permanent committee, necessary funding is needed. Chairman Abel said the committee is important to hold to account the effort by responsible government agencies. He said the committee has specific tasks.
Our role and the role of parliamentary committees is an accountability mechanism and function under the auspices of the role of Parliament in general. You have these committees, parliamentary committees, that are permanent or established from time to time to address specific issues. And our job is to hold executive government to account through the mechanism of having parliamentary inquiries, for example, and summoning the relevant people in.
With many reports flooding social media, he says violence cannot solve violence. Abel says men must stand and be advocates. He wants to see more effort to stop the cycle of violence in PNG communities.
But again, at the end of the day, I keep coming back. We must break this cycle of violence. And I've been appealing to, nearly every time I speak, I appeal to men, please. Let's break the cycle now in our own homes. We have to resist the temptation to strike our wives. As I said, we have to pray. We have to pray, God give us strength to do the right thing. And the right thing is not belting unnecessarily. There's too much violence in our communities and society. It's a big problem. We have to address this issue because it's not just a gender-based violence. It's violence in general. It's like a cancer eating PNG society.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Women leaders in Port Moresby have vented their frustration at the lack of urgency by authorities to deal with the barbaric torture of a group of women in Kagua-Irave district of Southern Highlands. They joined NCD Governor Pos Pakop to call for action. The video, which was posted on social media and later removed, showed the inhumane acts inflicted on the women. According to our sources, 4 of the women have died while 2 are nursing injuries. Governor Pakop and the women leaders have questioned why the respective leaders of where the torture occurred remain silent.
NCD Governor Pos Pakop and women leaders in the nation's capital have condemned the barbaric act of the torture of women in the Kagua-Irave district of Southern Highlands province and Pogera-Lagaip in Enga province. One incident filmed on a mobile phone that went viral on Facebook and YouTube before it was flagged and pulled down.
Sadly, once again we have been reminded about the level of violence, nature of violence, that the level of respect and the type of behavior and attitude that we still hold in our country. We are reminded by 2 videos that have gone viral depicting most horrific, barbaric level of violence, totally inhuman, totally unacceptable in this day and age in our country.
These elderly women you see have contributed so much to the community. When we see the elderly women are affected, so during Christmas time, what are we saying? Instead of thanking them, we are terrorizing them, and this is inhuman. Very, very sad, but very bad, uncalled for.
During a press conference yesterday at the NCDC City Hall, women representatives from various electorates in NCD expressed their frustration on the lack of response from relevant authorities to this very serious matter.
Type of violence and lack of respect against women and girls continue. And as I said, it continue because we are not doing much. We are not doing enough. We are not taking action. So I want to call on leaders in that village and in the electorate to cooperate with the police and get these men who perpetrated this inhuman, barbaric violence on innocent women and girls to be arrested and be prosecuted.
You just have a small number of minority men in the village that inflict pain on the weak women. And yet we can't even get them to the police station to arrest, charge, and prosecute. And why are we waiting?
While this animalistic torture of women in the Highlands is gradually gaining public awareness, the country's capital, Port Moresby, has also seen its share of sorcery-related accusations violence quite recently, says Shirley Kauper, founder of Magna Carta Inc., a non-government organization.
A month ago, we had a call from someone in Morata that the community is trying to mobilize to violent a woman whom they accused that she was the one who was engaged in sorcery. So luckily the message came out, and all of a sudden the message came to Governor, and Governor sent the message. It was like seconds and minutes we worked on it. And luckily the police arrived at the scene on time, and the woman was taken to Waigani police station. 2 weeks ago, we received a call from 2 Mile Eel. And we were working very hard. So because we didn't have any, or we didn't turn up, the police didn't turn up on time, the woman was brutalized. And we took her to Family Support Center, and then we sent her to one of our shelters.
She says instant response to such cases may save lives.
So rapid response to sorcery accusation-related violence is very important. Within minutes, if we give excuses, we will end up an innocent woman's life.
Meanwhile, United Nations Papua New Guinea, in a statement, has strongly condemned all forms of violence in light of this recent barbaric act and has called for immediate prosecution of those responsible in the sorcery accusation-related violence. While these calls are being made, it's the women and girls in whom the scars run deep.
Mipla no kan kari pigini man moken. Mipla karen blong ogi tribes name blo tribes na name blo family na name blo number blo country blo mipla na no gato la tani beg na kili mipla. All member blo blind na blo blo disla and mipla game bla big bla pain. And big bla pain blo mipla all mama na all pigini meri blo mipla blo come up now stabia all ba karen blo gen sakan something ba come up. So I think ba mipla toki governor blo mipla. Online we usai sa fight blo mipla lo parliament Gary Juba stop. Alan Bedi stop. NCDC governor post pako bi stop. Mipla la toki yupla osem. I think by this bill blo mipla mama ba yupla pass him lo parliament because violence mipla fight go na enough now.
If they don't bring the perpetrators forward, we will go to the other way. We'll use the international justice, international accountability. We have the video with us. And this is a very strong message I'm leaving. Enough is enough. We need action. We demand for arrest and prosecution.
Kilawani National EMTV News.
The women leaders also presented their recommendations to deal with sorcery-related violence inflicted on women. Amongst the recommendations, a call to the government to revisit legislation surrounding sorcery and witchcraft, and furthermore for the government to increase funding for the police.
For the short term, we call for mass arrest on all the leaders who are bystanders watching the horrific torture. And they are around the crime scene, the leaders. Secondly, if there is a gap identified in the law, the relevant authorities must develop an emergency working group to amend. Thirdly, provincial law and order committees must be serious about addressing these issues of great concern at the provincial level and work with the district and ward LLG to get right to the roots of the issue. Fourth, arrest the glass man, Mary, and give them higher penalties. A sub-repatriation plan must be in place to rescue the accused before violence can take place. And the sixth, we call on the member of Kagwe Erave and Layaga Pogera must come out to the media to respond to the concern raised by the concerned citizens of this country. The seventh, the leaders of Southern Islands and Anga must support the provincial law and order committees with adequate resources to address these issues. For the long term, we call on the relevant authorities to identify, hold the hotspots, and build the police and law and order justice sector presence in the district to engage with the community leaders, peace officers, and village magistrates for ongoing, continuous advocacy. If there's a center or a post there, then they know that there's the Peace and Good Order Committee house or office right in the ward level. So they see the strength of law present right in the rural and remote places. Our second long-term recommendation, police must be supported to strengthen the rural capacity where the majority are based. And final one, and not the least, can the Department of Justice and Attorney General provide the status of the Sorcery National Action Plan, or SNAP, and what it has achieved so far?
Among stories after the break, Bougainville President Ismail Torama says his people are not involved in any moves to overthrow the government of a sovereign nation. Details after the break. Welcome back. The autonomous Bougainville government and the people of Bougainville are not involved in any secret plot to overthrow the Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands, Manasseh Songavare, says ABG President Ismail Torama. Responding to a headline article published by one of the dailies, Torama says Bougainville has and will maintain a neutral stance in the conflict in the Solomon Islands. He added the ABG has not sanctioned any support to the factions in the Solomon Islands nor alleged involvement of paramilitary groups. Torama says the Bougainville peace agreement also forbids Bougainville to engage in any foreign relations which can jeopardize the region's political aspirations. The president also cautioned the national press from sensationalizing issues that concern national security and foreign relations. We will bring to you more on this story tomorrow. It took 20 strong men and innovation to ferry a coffin across a muddy river and then 3 hours of walking to the village for burial. This is the recent scenario of villagers in the Maimai 11 LLG Nuku district, West Sepik, as they took a relative home to bury.
These are men from Maimai 11 LLG in Nuku district of West Sepik province using bush rope to fasten the coffin of a relative who had recently passed away. They have placed the coffin on a raft quickly made to help ferry the coffin across Waramun. On a good day, this river is passable through a wet crossing, but with a district that sees rain all year round, this is most often the scenario. The deceased is a long-time staff of the Nuku District Administration who had served for over 20 years. For a remote station that does not have the services of a morgue, it was crucial that the body be laid to rest 2 or 3 days after death. So with time against their hands, the deceased relatives had to brave the flooding Waramun to take the body home. On the other side, because vehicles couldn't cross the river, men shouldered the casket and had to walk about 2 to 3 hours before reaching the deceased village. They say a picture tells 1,000 words, with many people questioning the current Nuku District Administration of the road and bridge infrastructure in the district. Minister for Public Service and member for Nuku, Joe Sungi, in sending out his condolences to the passing of Mr. Jacob Hayo and saddened of the unfortunate circumstances in moving his body home for burial, said the DDA is currently constructing a new 33-ton Bailey Bridge ordered from the United Kingdom via Markham Culverts. He said once that bridge is completed, situations like this will be a thing of the past. Shamin Poreambev, National EMTV News.
3 weeks ago, a community-based organization in Medang, the Kumura Foundation, embarked on a medical patrol tracking from the upper to lower Bundi in the Usino Bundi district. After traveling more than 200 kilometers and treating over 1,000 patients, they arrived in Medang town to end the Travel to Change program. Today, the team made up of community volunteers and medical workers met to review the program. Philia Pisep with this report.
These are the community volunteers and medical officers who were part of the Kumura Foundation's Travel to Change campaign. It is an initiative aimed at delivering health services to rural communities. This year, the Foundation's goal was to treat 1,000 patients and deliver mosquito nets in the campaign against malaria. Yesterday, the team reviewed the Travel to Change program in Medang.
The awareness got out there, but it was a very short awareness, a short notice to the people that actually received the information that we are coming. But the turnout is incredibly unexpected. They turned out in great numbers. So it reflects the kind of dire need that the people are in, and they desperately need that kind of basic.
This year's Travel to Change program started on the 13th of December at Snopas in Upper Bundi, Medang province, and ended at Karani in Lower Bundi. Over the past 17 days, the team of 30 traveled over 207 kilometers, treating up to 1,500 patients. Those patients who do not have access to medical services. Some were treated for wounds, malaria, other diseases, and also tested for COVID-19.
I think half of them are children. And the most common problems they face with arthritis, abdominal hernias, inguinal hernias, and those patients are referred to the major hospitals like Kundiawa for their continuous support, Medeng Provincial Health, and Goroka.
This year, they were supported by the Sir Brian Bell Foundation, Simbu Provincial Health Authority, Mapai Transport Limited, Melanesian Tourism Services, and several other organizations. The Travel to Change program is also the foundation's main fundraising drive to sustain the rural health, education, and other community-focused programs. Foundation Director Vincent Kumura said they have done their part by delivering the services, and now they look forward to raising funds through donations. Philia Pizap, National EMTV News, Medang.
And now looking at the NAS fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2775 $, 0.38 Australian dollars, 0.2375 euro, and 31.27 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower. Coffee and copra closed lower. Cocoa closed higher. Crude oil is trading higher. Palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher. The ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. Next up, soccer on Lihir Island. That's in Chukai Sports after these short messages.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Maidstones are the Upper Londo soccer champions in the interlands of Lihir Island. Maidstones beat 196 comrades in penalty shootout. The score was locked at 1-1 at full-time.
It was a local affair for this rural competition. No big names, all local talent kicking the ball for fun, healthy living and keeping the youth from doing illegal stuff. This village tournament was played as both sides struggled to get the ball behind the net. Maidstones in green did control the ball, but it was the 196 comrades who luckily found the net to lead during halftime. The game was slow due to wet conditions. Both teams had poor ball control but proved defensive in the second half. Maidstones had the home ground support to the boys in green. This led to Maidstones leveling the scores before full-time. The game then went into penalty shootout with Maidstones winning 3-1.
Me like talk bigla thank you golo goalkeeper blumi bla we me try best long am too. And me know when let one ball go inside. And me game hot long one team. Me me suicide by still can see my blue mark where by team blumi bla by golo winning the grand final.
Jokla Pave Jr., Chukai Sports.
Newly appointed head coach of the men's national soccer team, Marcus Guzmão, has been tasked to assist the PNG Football Association's technical division. He will assist with the technical development plan, a framework for the development of soccer in the country in the coming years.
The arrival of the new national men's soccer team head coach, Marcus Guzmão, into the country earlier this week adds to the momentum to the couple's 2022 World Cup qualification campaign. The Brazilian is no stranger to PNG, having been previously engaged by the PNG Football Association in 2004 to prepare the national men's team for the 2008 South Pacific Games in Apia, Samoa. Unfortunately, PNG's national men's football team could not travel because it was ruled out by PNGOC's Justification Committee. PNG FA President John Capinato urged members of the PNG national men's football team to pay close attention to Guzmão as he brings with him a wealth of experience in coaching techniques and skills development to the team. Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports, where the details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the southern region. Weather in the southern region, rather. Cloudy with a few showers in Port Moresby, Daru and Alatau. Fine, although cloudy in Popondetta, and partly cloudy weather in Kerma. In the Mamasa region, fine, although cloudy in Leh. Cloudy weather in Wau. Cloudy with a few showers in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with a shower or two in Lorengau and Kavieng, Kimbe and Buka included, fine, although partly cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, showers, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kundiawa, and cloudy weather, then morning fog in Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, 30th of December 2021. Just one more day to the new year. Until next time, you have a pleasant evening. Take care and good night.